Hello and welcome everybody to the Mountain Magic series here at Mythic Games in Littleton, Colorado. I'm your host, Songkook, and I am joined by the collector of Lilianas, it's Rob.
I have a couple. It's maybe a problem.
All right. Well, Rob, looks like we've got Ashe back on camera, and Curtis, their opponents, on an interesting deck here.
Yeah, super interesting. You know, and we saw something that was maybe a little bit adjacent to it.
Do y'all still have Grant Johnson's list?
Yeah, so we saw something in round one that was pretty... It included some of this, like, artifact nonsense and that sort of stuff that was trying to storm off. But Curtis, what he's doing is a very specific, dedicated artifact combo deck. He's using the One Ring, Voltaic Key, and Manifold Key to keep untapping that ring, keep untapping Grim Monoliths and Basalt Monoliths, making tons and tons of mana, drawing tons and tons of cards, and then ultimately either with his one main deck, Emrakul, just slamming that down on the battlefield and doing that thing, or in his sideboard we see that he has this Mycosynth Lattice that he can get off the 4 Karn the Great Creator in his main deck. So super interesting stuff, and I don't know, I really like how linear the strategy is and how Curtis has built this deck, but Ashe is playing a deck that might be an antithesis to this in some ways, just with so much interaction with cards like Grief.
Yeah. And not to mention, Curtis's deck has 4 main deck defense grid.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, which is pretty nuts.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, like that's what you got to do, right? With a deck like this. So
Exactly. And also just playing 4 copies of Urza's Saga and Urza's Workshop, interestingly. So just having access to ways to sort of control the board so that they can ultimately build up a large amount of artifacts and permanents to hopefully keep untapping and buy themselves some time. But we're seeing the players opening their hands here. Ashe looking at what looks like a couple Reanimates,
yeah, it
a
looks
Ponder.
like 2 Reanimates.
Yeah.
Oh, is this a mulligan?
Yeah, looks like they're sending one back. And away we go. So I'm really interested to see how this match plays out, because Ashe does have the interaction, but Curtis has the inevitability.
Hopefully no turn 1 defense grid.
Okay, let's see it. And not playing a Chalice of the Void or anything like that, pretty notably, because you have to play these keys. 1 key, okay. Taking 2 damage for it.
Oh,
Lotus Petal.
So still got 1 in the pool, right?
Yeah. And playing Mox. Oh, I love how he's sequencing this.
Holy
man.
cannoli.
4 artifacts on the battlefield,
Yeah.
1 land, Ashe on the Molda 6. And, oh man, I just really, really love how Curtis played that. Floats the 2 mana from Ancient Tomb. He plays out the key, kind of just saying, like, you know, this is what I'm doing. Maybe I'll play another key next. And then immediately plays out a Lotus Petal. And it's like, cool, now I have 1 more mana for something like Daze. And then plays out the Mox Opal. Mox Opal, if resolves, is turned on. Already playing around Daze again, having the 1 in pool, and then the 1 mana available from the Mox Opal. So clean. Love that play.
Yeah, that's oof, and that's quite the turn 1 too.
Yeah.
And 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5, maybe 6 mana next turn for Curtis.
Yeah.
If there's another Soul Land coming down. Jeez.
Ton of mana. And Ashe does have the response here that they want to see. They do have the Troll, and are more than likely we're going to see the Reanimate coming out. So it's exactly the type of turn that they want to have. Taking a Brainstorm first to see what they can do here. Looking at a whole host of cards here. Looking at some cantrips, some lands. We know they have the Reanimate in hand. I think Lorien Revealed and potentially another Troll Kaza Dune.
Is there? Do they have a force in the hand or any sort of
I think they might have a Force of Will in hand indeed.
Yep, and the Reanimate.
Reanimate on the Troll. This is what they need to do.
Troll's a 6/6, right?
A 6/5, I believe.
Oh, right, 6/5. Yeah.
6/5, Super Menace.
Yeah.
I should have just said Super Menace, but, you know.
Okay, so 3 attacks is lethal.
Yeah, Curtis having that Ancient Tomb means that this, what is normally a 4-turn clock, turning to a 3-turn clock, so...
We got a clock.
Yes.
But this turn from Curtis might be a little scary.
Yeah. They can untap, and... Oh, man.
Yeah, because Monolith... Oh, that is a Monolith.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so that's already infinite mana if it resolves, right? Am I wrong there?
I don't... Oh, Defense
Grid.
Grid. Oh, man. So...
Anything?
Yeah, we know that Curtis has some pretty strong follow-up plays. Ashe does not necessarily know. And if they have the Force of Will, they might just have to use it on this Defense Grid.
Yeah,
there we see it.
Sucks, but I think so. Yep.
Yeah. If they want to ever interact, this is what they have to do. And we might be seeing some math coming down here. Oh, a pass from Curtis back to
so
Ashe.
no land.
Very interesting. So
Beats.
6 coming in, going to 10. Here's a ponder.
Those are days.
The days could come in handy.
Yeah.
Mind you, they do have a lot of mana on the other side of the battlefield. But it is predominantly that Lotus Petal and Mox Opal. That Ancient Tomb. It's going to do a lot of damage, and it's going to be progressing Ashe's game plan just as much as it is Curtis in this point.
Yeah. So... Yeah, because if Curtis taps it... Oh.
Okay, another ponder.
If Curtis taps Ancient Tomb again, goes to 8, and then takes a hit from Troll, he won't be able to tap the Ancient Tomb again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, pretty precarious situation. Wasteland on the
God,
Ancient
that was
Tomb.
so good.
Yeah.
Oh my
It's
God.
exactly
God,
what you need to see.
Man, this game, Ashe has been really impressive lately. This
Seriously.
game went from, like, City Traders, like, looking pretty bad for Ashe, but now looking pretty decent, I think.
Yeah. Okay. We have the monolith on the battlefield.
Right, not infinite mana, but a lot of mana here.
It does have a lot of
Yeah.
mana. So, what? They have 3 untap for
Now-
2.
And then tap to 5.
As we can see, Ashe on the other side. Ashe, a player who's played their own bit of combo here with the One Ring. And playing around days. Love that. This looks like it resolves. Taps it. Draws a card.
Okay, well...
We have a game.
Yeah.
Tapping the key with the 1 mana in pool, untapping the One Ring.
God, this is so good. This is so good.
Man.
Oh, God.
Draws 2.
I mean-
another monolith.
Thanks to the ring, I mean, Curtis gets a full untap step here, and
Right.
it's gonna be kind of ugly, I think.
Yeah, and looking at Ashe's hand, I believe it's Underground Seed, Daze, Troll of Kaza, Dune. And yeah, it's not going to be adding a lot to this battlefield, unfortunately. Just putting more lands in hand. If anything, I think the cards they want to see are Brainstorm. But they're in a really tough position. They're going to have to really use this Daze to leverage it to victory if they want to get this game at this point.
Oh, but Curtis has so much mana.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
And we know he has even more in hand.
Yeah.
Man, that's super rough. Well, one boon for Ashe is Curtis does have a City of Traders, so he is going to be effectively wastelanding himself if he decides to put another land on the battlefield. But honestly, with the power of his deck and how many times he can untap this One Ring, I don't know that he needs another turn.
Yeah. This might be it here.
Karn the Great Creator.
Uh-oh.
Man, that's got to lead to some
yeah.
nasty stuff.
Ugh.
Draw 3 cards. What a wonderful Magic card.
Man, we saw a lot of Bowmasters out of Ashe last game.
Right. Would have been pretty good here.
Yeah.
Can't imagine if they were taking those out for the sideboard. Okay, untapping Assault Monolith.
Although, if Ashe can find another attack, Curtis might be dead to his own One Ring. But, I mean, that's kind of a stretch. That is just all assuming he doesn't just win here.
Right.
So,
Or even finding another copy of the One Ring.
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that.
Yep,
Interestingly, Curtis here, he is playing Karn the Great Creator, but he does not have...
he's got all 4 copies of the One Ring in the main.
Yes, exactly.
What is that? Oh, is that Paradox Engine?
I believe that is Paradox Engine.
Okay.
Which...
Oy.
That's... Jeez.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but Paradox Engine is every time another artifact enters the battlefield, you
believe
untap
so.
all artifacts.
Let's bring it up here for y'all. So Paradox Engine, 5 mana legendary artifact. Whenever you cast a spell,
A spell.
untap all non-land permanents.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you were talking about playing a lot of EDH. Come on.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, this card is banned in EDH.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't. You don't ever see it.
My bad. That shows you how much I play. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, drawing another 4 cards. Oh,
Yeah, this is just. It's so hard to lose from here. I think. Right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, seeing all those cards in hand, knowing what Paradox Engine does for the first time, he just has all this mana to generate, and his rings can just perpetually keep untapping the One Ring.
Yeah. But man, I think Curtis played this game very, very well. I mean, not to say he's already won, but
Sure.
Yeah, like you were saying, navigating just his first turn even was very well navigated. Played very well.
Definitely.
Through days. And yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty, Karn the Great Creator, on top of everything. Holy moly!
Yeah, here we go. And Karn itself, again, it can get Mycosynth Lattice, but even more enticing, he can also get Walking Ballista out of the sideboard. But first and foremost, let's draw some more cards.
Yep.
Why not? Why not?
Why not?
Come on now. You came here to play some Magic. Play some Magic.
Was that a Voltaic key?
Yes.
Oh, so there's 4 Manifold keys and 4 Voltaic keys. Oh!
Exactly. Yeah, I think this Ring Engine deck also sometimes called 8 key because of, well, the 8 keys in it.
God, how many doors are you trying to open?
Yeah.
What the heck?
Listen, I've seen The Matrix, all right? And
I have 3 keys on my keychain. I don't think you need that many. I've got like 1 for my car, 1 for my house, and I'm not sure where the last one goes.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Everyone has that key. I was going to say, I think I have 4 keys on my keychain. They all open the same thing. So, but it's nice to have. You just feel important,
I mean, clearly here. Yeah. Curtis, most man on the internet.
Yeah, exactly. Curtis is in a position where he can do whatever he wants kind of at this point, and we do know Ashe's hand is containing a daze. I don't think it's going to matter here.
And Ashe busting out 2 20-sided dice here doesn't look good.
Yeah, probably not. All right, just play the Lotus Petal, untap the cards,
Draw my cards, one ring.
Yeah. Well, if you're in this position and you feel like you have everything in the world, what's the most creative way that you're trying to kill your opponent right now?
Oh, man. I mean, you're on camera. You have to style on him.
You have to style.
What do we got? So we can get Sky Sovereign. Doesn't really do anything.
If they had a way to bounce the Sky Sovereign over and over again, I feel like that's what I would
Does
be
it deal
doing.
damage to players? I think it's only creatures and planeswalkers.
That
would be so funny, yeah.
Oh, man.
Well, I was thinking some way of like, you have to play Sky Sovereign. You can't crew it at all with this deck, no, right? You can crew it with the Emrakul.
Or the Constructs. Yeah. Why hit you for 15 when I get you for 6?
Okay, so we found the line, I think. So we're gonna get Sky Sovereign.
Yeah.
We have to crew it with Emrakul.
Oh man, you're right. Sky Sovereign is just target creature or planeswalker and opponent controls. Man, all right. Listen, if I'm in this position, I'm putting the 6/5 on the battlefield and just making 2 turns. Ashe is at 12.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do?
Although Curtis can't take another. Well, I mean, I'm sure he's got more copies of the One Ring. It's not really that. Okay, there's
Walking Ballista.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Scoop the cards up. Let's go to game 2.
Come on, Curtis. Curtis, we gave you the line. Right. We gave you the line, and you're casting this Walking Ballista. I don't like it.
Listen, someone needs to go over to the feature match table and let him know the spice that we're cooking up for him.
Absolutely.
Okay. Just increase the style points. But with that, let's see what we have sideboarding here.
Yeah, I was looking at Ashe. This looks like kind of a tough matchup.
Definitely so. Looking down at their sideboard here, we're seeing copies of Surgical Extraction, Fatal Push, and when we saw them on camera before, we talked about how they had all these really awesome removal spells and like creature interaction points. It's not a lot of artifact interaction. If anything, they might be inclined to bring in something like Opposition Agent. I don't know if they think their opponents can be searching their library. The most impactful cards here, I think, are going to be something like 2 copies of Force of Negation, 1 Brazen Borrower. They kind of have to bring in the Dress Downs because they have so many bad cards, and they might even bring in these Surgical Extractions just so that they have something to do, because there are a lot of bad cards in Ashe's deck for this matchup.
I mean, even like countering a card and surgically extracting it is a game plan.
Yeah. Well, if you can potentially grief or Thoughtseize something like the One Ring, which seems to be a really cornerstone engine for this deck, and then that's where you can surgical it. I could see a world where that happens, but again, Curtis, he's built a really, really powerful engine here, using cards to generate lots of mana. And again, you just make a lot of mana, get a Karn, make a lot of mana, play Emrakul. There are a lot of lines here, so I'm not sure that's coming in. But again, looking at Ashe's list, they're probably bringing out pretty much every piece of creature removal that they have.
And I don't know, Daze doesn't seem very good. I mean, on the play is probably fine. But I mean, you get these like poopy Fatal Pushes out of there. You get the Snuff out of there. Maybe that's it, huh?
Yeah. And it was interesting, very impressive to see Ashe also, they put together the line of they just had the troll. They did the troll, but they were just a turn too slow.
Yeah.
And that was the game, unfortunately.
Yep.
But for Curtis, having something like this sweet deck and seeing that he's 3-0 in this tournament, I got to imagine that he's also catching opponents off guard who might not necessarily know exactly what he's trying to do with his cards. Just seeing everything, just having all these random artifacts, like, you kind of have to have very specific interaction to deal with what he's doing.
Oh, man. This deck, it's so insane.
Yeah, it just looks like I don't know, like an automobile. It's just a car. It drives. You know what it's doing.
Yeah, and it's got a lot of machine things and things that look like machines.
Exactly. Yeah. There's a lot of metal going on here, which I'm here for personally.
Yeah.
But with that, looking at Ashe's list as well, they have the 4 grief. So I think grief obviously has to be really strong here. But they have no access to anything like Thoughtseize, which I guess is what we typically see from these scam decks. They're not too in on the Thoughtseize plan if they're just trying to grief their opponent. But unfortunately, in this situation, and even into this meta that we have seen already, even on camera, a lot of combo, I don't know if it's going to pay off in this particular spot.
Yeah. Although this opening hand for Ashe looks pretty good, I think. I saw Daze, I saw Force of Will.
Yeah, seeing a Wasteland as well.
Any action?
They probably keep it regardless. Basic Swamp Go.
This deck is just it's so action light, I feel. Although, the action that you do have is pretty good, and Grief and Troll, Murktide. Uh-oh. Keys. We're opening doors. And looks like end steps, Cycle Troll again. Looks pretty similar to game 1, except for Curtis has 3 less permanents in play, so. Okie dokie. Ooh, also, and if we can take a minute to thank our 2 judges that are here today. Our head judge being Corey, he just told me his last name.
Corey Rutherford.
Rutherford, yeah. And, oh god. I can't say Sylvan's last name. And Sylvan!
We do love you, Sylvan.
Yeah.
Also, coming back to this game here, seeing the double Ancient Tomb start for Curtis. We saw what he could do with this before, playing out that Monolith. So he has some action here. 1 floating. He could just do it exactly what he's doing here. Make the mana, untap.
Oh man, what is he casting here? He's got 6 mana? What is that?
That's a great question. Whatever it is deserves a force.
Yeah, get that out of here.
That might actually be another Paradox engine.
Is that a Paradox engine? Okay, that might be a fancy one.
Yeah.
And then that's a full tag key. Ooh, Basalt Mono, untap Basalt. Oh, this is 4 mana. Oh my god, is Curtis gonna resolve a Karn?
Does he have any floating?
Yeah.
Okay, Bowmaster. Well, that's a really important card for this matchup.
Pretty sick.
Yeah. Looking at that, Bowmaster is something that could certainly stop all this one-ring shenanigans. And, Curtis, looking at his sideboard, he has 3 Dismembers. I'm curious to see if he brought them in. I would imagine he more than likely had to. Again, something like Cholakaza Dune, and probably knowing that Ashe is going to be bringing in an Orcish Bowmaster. This seems like the right play as we bash in for 2.
Oh my gosh, 2 Ancient Tombs is probably going to add up here.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Because I know Ashe has another piece of interaction, right? Because we saw Force of Negation and Force of Will, right? In their hand.
Is that Basalt Monolith? Did he untap that? Is that supposed to be tapped? Maybe he untapped it with the ring.
No, he untapped it last turn.
Untapped it last turn. Okay, great. Just gotta keep the Storm players honest. You gotta make sure. With that, let's see what he tries to go for here. We do see Brainstorm in hand.
Busting out the dice. That's always that sign, yeah.
Karn. And here's a Karn. Okay.
Resolves.
All right.
Oh, so maybe there is no Force Will.
It looks like they have the option to Brainstorm here.
down-ticking card. What are we getting here?
He does have access in his board.
Opposition agent!
Oh!
Oh, God.
Wait, but how does that interact with Karn?
Yeah, how does that... But they're not searching... It's only searching library, right? That it stops?
It can search exile, and it can search the sideboard.
Right, and opposition agent is only if an opponent is searching their library.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Let's look at opposition agent first.
This is kind of silly.
Yeah. Let's call the judge, first and foremost. Here we go. Okay, opposition agent. So, Flash, you control your opponents while they're searching their libraries.
Yeah, only libraries.
Okay, so don't know that it matters here, but let's see. Karn might also search the library at the same time. That's would be an interesting question.
Oh.
Because if that's the case, then Ashe could potentially take control of Curtis's turn, completely swinging things around. This does not work, I don't think, the way that we want it to.
Okay.
Karn here, -2. You may choose an artifact you own from outside the game or in exile. Reveal that card and put it into your hand.
That's funny. You don't search at all.
You don't search at all. Really unfortunate.
Oh, that's too bad.
I mean, adding a 3/2 flash creature to this board is probably still good.
Yeah, well, the backswing, Ashe swings attacks for 5, and Curtis has 2 Ancient Tombs.
Oh, yeah,
putting
he's
him
just
to 4.
dead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that means he can't tap his Ancient Tombs. But like with like the keys and the Basalt Monoliths,
That's true. Does
he's
he
got a
need
bunch
to?
of he's got a bunch of mana. Yeah.
So very decisive turn here.
I don't know. Kind of looks like Curtis is searching.
Yeah. Well, can we read that card just one more time? This is where you make the corner case to the judge and say,
Yeah. It's like I don't know.
I'm pretty sure.
Looks like he's looking for something specific.
Yeah.
So there's a judge question on Oppo Agent with activating Karn. The ruling was Oppo Agent does not affect Karn's minus ability.
Okay,
That
yeah,
was
just
the
like we thought.
judge
Yeah.
question.
Awesome.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Gotten confirmation here, as y'all probably heard, and as we kind of came to the conclusion, opposition agent does not interact with Karn in the way where you can control the search. As Karn, you are just looking at and revealing, and here's a Paradox Engine. I'm feeling a little scared.
Yeah, gosh. This is... But, I mean, okay, so there's an Orcish Bowmasters. The
That's
issue
true.
is...
Okay, defense grid, can't do anything about that.
So,
Actually, can we? Was there any mana in pool? Well, no, they untap everything,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah. And the issue is, so, with the One Ring, though... This is bad.
Is that another?
So, Orcish Bowmaster is not a May, right? You have to deal 1 damage to something.
Right.
So, if Curtis has protection for everything and draws everything, will Bowmaster end up killing Ashe?
I think what it actually does is you can target the token itself.
Oh, that's right.
believe
That's right.
that
Yeah.
does work.
And yeah,
And it looks like this card that I have no idea what it is.
Yeah.
It is not a Paradox Engine, as Paradox Engine is a legendary artifact
yeah.
here.
So what is that? What could that be? Is that?
Now we gotta go searching through the depths.
That's not. Is that a Mystic Forge?
Mystic Forge, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
That is what that is.
Is he exiled on the top card of his deck?
That would explain the mana cost and everything. Okay.
Okay. So yep, that's a Mystic Forge.
That's a Mystic Forge.
I've never seen that art before.
Yeah. Explains why he's looking at the top card of his deck too, I suppose. And here's another card.
That would
Okay.
be so funny. And we see here Curtis just blatantly cheating.
Yeah, happens from time to time. Seeing another Karn. Okay. This again, pretty scary. He does have access to Ensnaring Bridge if he wants to go that route, but at the same time, I think he's got to probably go for something more impactful here. Okay.
Oh, that looked like the One Ring.
That is indeed.
Gosh, when this deck gets going, it.
Yeah, well, as we talked about, he is in the position where he will die if he does not win this turn, realistically. Because also that Orcish Bowmaster token is just going to be obscenely large.
This deck is really interesting. Just from the way Curtis is playing, it feels like this deck has a fairly decent matchup against blue decks.
Yeah, that's a good point. Just 'cause I feel like there's a lot of redundancy here as we see a Paradox Engine, I believe, being either cast or exiled from the top of his library. Oh,
Yeah.
So you see some dice flying.
I would assume cast just to untap everything, right? Or
Yeah, but again, I believe that is a legendary artifact permanent, so you cannot have 2 on the battlefield. But either way, we see...
Oh yeah, he's putting it in his graveyard.
Okay,
Yeah, he
great.
did cast it just to untap everything. Yeah,
That makes
'cause
sense.
Why the heck not?
Yeah, very true, very true.
Yeah, with the 2 keys and the Basalt Monolith, like, it would be really hard for Curtis to screw up here, I think.
Yeah.
Unless he takes our line of having Emrakul and crewing the Sky Sovereign with it, it's going to be pretty tough.
Puts the Walking Ballista in hand, and we look at Ashe's life total and see 20 life. However, I think Curtis can just draw 1 billion cards, make 1 billion mana, and make a rather large Walking Ballista. We have to see it happen first.
Gosh. Man, this deck is pretty insane. It does, I mean, it plays around Daze really well and 4 main deck defense crit.
Right. And that's so interesting as we see Ashe in hand has the Daze. So
yeah, and it's just been sitting there.
Exactly. Nothing they really could have done. And also a card that's certainly on Curtis's mind, as we saw game 1, how expertly he played around it. But man, he's just going off right now. Drawing, what was that, 3, then 2 before that, 5, 6 cards already off this 1 ring.
Yikes.
And it's got to feel really tough having the Orcish Bowmaster on the battlefield and just being like, I can't ping you.
Yeah.
I can't hit you.
This is a 7/7.
Yeah. We're counting for the sake of it. You know, you got to go through the steps.
Ugh. Man, this deck is pretty sweet.
Yeah, very sweet. Another defense grid we see coming down here just to untap everything. Sure. If we can find another key, I feel like we could probably find a concession as well.
Yeah. I don't. Curtis, does he? Is he part of our local meta or our local group?
I have not personally seen him at many Legacy events. However, I have seen him at some other MMSs before in the past. I believe someone who certainly has played a good amount of Legacy, from my understanding. I've seen them out at the events, but do not know them personally. But that is not stopping them at all from going through the lines here with this sweet, sweet 8-key deck.
Oh, yeah. And it looks like, Ashe's sideboard is not well equipped to deal with something like this.
Mm-hmm.
Man, this deck is nuts.
Yes. The 1 ring, we're untapping, we're finding the lines, we're playing more keys, we're untapping the other keys with the trigger from the Paradox engine with the keys. It's good magic.
Yeah.
So tell me about the Taco Bell sponsorship. Oh, okay. As we see, Walking Ballista come on the battlefield here, and Ashe extends the hand. Oh, man, that's so rough. Ashe had some pretty good interaction this game.
Yeah. Oh, look at all those force wills. Oh, man.
And it just didn't matter. I mean, Curtis, his deck is streamlined. It's here to do what it does, and it has barely any fat on it.
Yeah, I mean, just look at that deck list. 8 copies of the Soul Land, 8 copies of the keys, and 8 copies of all the monoliths. 4 Basalt Monolith and 4 Grim Monolith. Yeah. 4 copies of Mox Opal, 4 copies of Lotus Petal. This deck gets going. It seems really consistent to me. What's interesting? What's Urza's Workshop do? I don't know what Urza's Workshop does.
I will pull it up for you because I can't recite what that card does by any source of the imagination. However,
it's not the Manland, is it? Is it the
I believe it is.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I think. Well, here we go. Urza's Workshop. Tap for a colorless Metalcraft. Add colorless for each Urza's land you control. Activate only if you control 3 or more artifacts. Okay.
Wait, each Urza's land?
Yes.
So
it itself is an Urza's land.
How is it? Land Urza's? Is Urza's Saga also land Urza's?
I don't believe so.
No, right?
But let me check.
So does it only produce mana off of its more copies of itself?
Well,
it says land Urza's Saga. Does that count as is that like?
That's interesting.
Does that count as an Urza land?
That would make a lot of sense. That would make a lot of sense. I don't know. But either way, I don't know. I really love what Curtis has done here with this deck, and whether it's net deck or of his own design or however he's put it.
Yeah.
But we will get him over here for an interview here shortly. Regardless, thinking about also the local meta that we have here in Denver, I think about how there's a lot of painter players, and I've seen other people on this sort of artifact combo list before. So knowing that Curtis is now 4-0, I imagine he either did not come across a lot of artifact hate, either gotten those right matchups, but if I was sitting in this tournament and I was thinking about playing this tournament before, something like 2 Null Rods were definitely things that I was making sure I had access to.
Man, Ashe was just telling us how they couldn't get the Null.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, man. I should have let him borrow mine. Oh, that's okay, though.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also, the way Curtis plays, It's hard to get that artifact hate in too.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, he just went off.
yeah, and it was just so fast and so efficient. So, but
Yeah.
anywho,
With that, we will be right back with Curtis here for an interview, folks, in about a minute or two.
All right, welcome back, everybody. So we have Curtis Zeman here with just coming off of now 4-0 with your Ring Engine deck. Some call it 8 key. I call it a really good deck for this weekend. Tell me, how were those games?
I mean, I think I got a little lucky game 2 where my opponent just like didn't force my Paradox Engine.
Yeah.
So I didn't see if he had it or not. Can you guys tell me if they? My apologies.
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
Ashe.
I don't know if they had the Force blue card in hand. Now that I come to
yeah,
think
I
of
don't
it.
think so.
I know I kind of baited out the Force Negation with
Sure.
the first defense grid. So
Yeah. Well, that was the thing. I don't believe they did 2 forces, and they had to force the defense grid. But also, just like the way that you sequence the first turn, where you're just like, Ancient Tomb, 1 drop. All right, 1 in pool, Lotus Petal. All right, 1 in pool. Now I have access to Lotus Petal, Mox Opal.
Yeah.
There's just nowhere to daze.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
nowhere to
phenomenal.
interact.
that's exactly what I was trying to do. Was just avoid that daze.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you played around it masterfully, to
Thank
say
you.
the least. Yeah. So thinking about, just this deck in general, is this something that you specifically brought to this weekend, thinking that it'd be the right choice, or where did you come to that decision?
It's just what I've been messing around with back up in Cheyenne, with our small little local Legacy we've been doing. It's what I have together for Legacy.
Yeah.
I've just been having a ton of fun.
Yeah. Oh my
just
Awesome.
playing One Ring and just activating it a million times a
Yeah,
turn and
yeah.
just making a million mana. It's a blast.
Yeah. Sitting in our position here, I was just looking at the board and I'm like, okay, but he has to untap the winner. Oh, no, Paradox Engine.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, but he has to have all the minute. Oh, but it untaps everything else. And it's just like, yeah, I have everything. We're going to get there. There's 3 defense grids on the board.
Yeah.
I'll draw my whole deck. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty crazy. So, I mean, after you resolve the Paradox Engine, most times you just win, right?
Yeah.
If you've got cards in your hand, if
Yeah.
you got a 1 ring, yeah.
There are a few times every once in a while where you like get like Paradox Engine and One Ring into play, and you just don't have any mana and no 0 drops in hand.
Sure, yeah.
And so you're like trying to kind of mess around there and try to figure out a way to go off from there. And
Right.
sometimes you just have to like pass turn and hope your opponent doesn't have something.
Sure.
Just a lot of times I try to sequence where I play my One Ring after the Paradox
Yeah.
Engine if I
Yeah,
can,
absolutely.
just to give myself that protection for a turn.
Right.
Like I think I did that last time. I just like played the One Ring and passed turn.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
awesome.
So that was I had a round earlier today where I was like in the position of I had both One Ring and Paradox Engine in play, and I'm just trying to fish for like I had like 1 mana floating between all of this.
Yeah.
Trying to find enough to get to 2 mana to get a Grim Monolith down, and
Just go off.
once you get that, you're usually golden.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
just, I can't lose so much mana.
Yeah.
And can you talk a bit about those rounds before here? Because knowing, playing a lot in the local scene here, I know that there are a lot of artifact decks. But did you face a lot of artifact hate getting to this position?
I did face the round previous for the 3-0. My round 3, I did have game 2. My opponent played a Null Rod against me, and I was kind of fortunate where I had a Saga, and I was able to get like 2 6/6 Saga tokens, and that was all that was needed.
Get 'em,
Sure.
boys.
Yeah.
Just like, okay, let's hope this is good.
Yeah, all right. Deal 12. Cool. Nice
My
artifact.
opponent was on that opponent was on. I always forget the name of the card. I've played the card before. I piloted the card. Hive Mind.
Hive Mind. Interesting.
Oh, you played against Hans.
Yes, yes, I played against Hans. And so yeah, he had to one of my turns. Pact of the Titans just for a blocker.
Oh, no. The emergency pact. That's always.
Threw a defense grid. Threw a defense grid. So he had to like also tap an ancient tomb.
So you've been having a good day.
It sounds
It's been a pretty good day so far.
Yeah. Well, thinking about that, or thinking about even just like blue-black scam, are there any decks that you are kind of like feeling are nightmare matchups right now that like can kind of go over the top or at least like interact well with what you're doing?
The biggest thing I tend to be nervous more about is things like sneak attack and storm sometimes. Because
like decks that are turn faster than you.
They're a little bit turn faster and then have a little bit of interaction or something. That are hard for me to like set up for a win there.
Yeah. Sure. It does feel kind of like you're doing what you're doing, and whatever they're doing, that's great. But I have my well-oiled machine. I know what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to win the game. I'm not trying to stop you from stopping me. Something like that, you know.
Also, a lot of like the Delver decks with like all the meltdowns is like the other thing that's a little bit scary for me.
That's fair.
Okay, but tell us, Urza's Workshop and Urza Saga. Is Urza Saga also an Urza land?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So it does,
that makes a lot of sense.
It is
more mana.
Yes, I've. That's why. So I've seen different lists that are like between either Urza's Workshop and Crystal Vein for that third soul land.
Yeah.
And I haven't had a chance to mess around a whole lot with Crystal Veins.
Sure.
I like the idea of Urza's Workshop.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. I've played a lot of Tron in Modern over the years.
Okay.
So just like, hey.
Just Tron over here.
Yeah, this is your type of deck. Yeah, you're ready.
So,
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, with that, anything else that you'd like to say to the folks at home before we wrap up here?
Well, Cheyenne, hi. This was my first actual feature match I've played in like all the years of Magic I played. So
nice. Well,
I get to actually win my first feature match. So it's great to feel.
Feels
good feeling.
Yeah, and you won it pretty handedly here. Going 4-0 now in this tournament, probably can double ID into the top 8 in the whole deal. Curtis, thanks for joining us.
Thank
Congratulations.
you. That's also I'm like 6-0 for games over the last 3 rounds too.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Look at that.
Haven't dropped a game.
I dropped a game round 1.
Oh, round 1.
Okay.
Round 1.
So you're probably feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would want to be in your position. And again, with a deck that's looking really good into this weekend.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Cool.
It's been great. Thank you guys.
Yeah. Thank you, Curtis, for joining us.
Mm-hmm.
And we were actually back here with an interview with Ashe Carlton, who was on the other side playing Blue-Black Scam that round 4. We saw how that game went. I'd love to hear what you were thinking there, especially knowing and seeing your list from before. You were talking about not having the null rods. Man.
Oh my god, that's so brutal.
Yeah, this is one of the matchups I really wanted to dodge today. I have so many notes.
Tell us the notes.
So there was no reason for me to counter the defense grid in game 1 because I was going to untap, play a third land, and then have forcible backup through the defense grid,
Sure.
which would have been chill. I would have been able to kill him in 2 turns.
Yeah.
Oh, but that's so hard. In
Yeah,
hindsight.
yeah.
Like, you have a Force of Will, they play defense grid, like...
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, totally.
Also on the blue deck, sometimes you just force that, and they're like, okay, I feel scared.
Right.
That's a sign of strength.
Yeah.
I don't want to go for it anymore. But then...
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Curtis is like, cool, jam.
Yeah. He seems like pretty solid with the deck. I don't know. The opposition agent thing was really awkward. Last minute, that was like the 5th card that I sided in because I was like, I don't know if I actually want a second Brazen Borrower.
Sure. Can you tell us a little bit more about your sideboard strategy? I'd love to kind of see, because again, like you talked about how your options are pretty limited here, but how did you approach this?
So I just boarded in dress downs it hits the Saga tokens, right? And it also takes them off of the Ballista win con for just a turn.
Yeah.
And then 2 Force of Negation, and then like Probably the 5th card should have been the second Brazen Borrower, and then like the rest of it seems fairly irrelevant here.
Gotcha. Okay. I mean, you unfortunately had like a lot to take out. You're taking out the Snuff Out. You're probably taking out Sauron's Ransom in some capacity.
Yep.
I imagine the Fatal Push, the Edict.
Yep.
I mean, Reanimate. That is your main game plan, but at the same time,
did you board out the Edict?
I boarded out 2 Push, Snuff Out, an Island. And I guess it would have been the Edict.
Yeah, I don't know. Thinking about just again like playing the blue-black tempo decks, I can see your question, and I assume at least. You know.
But I mean, like they play Karn, they minus it. You have no chance. You have no priority to actually kill Karn before it activates.
Exactly.
So I guess that is kind of a dead card. And then you have to leave up 2 mana.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's unfortunate though, because even seeing like game 1, you're like, cool, Troll Reanimate. You're off Ancient Tombs?
Sick. Yeah. I don't know. Like, my mulligan, I think, was fine. My 7 was, like, pretty medium game 1.
Yeah.
The 6 is, like, loosely keepable. It's just, like, a tempo threat and a force, so, like, whatever. That's okay.
Right.
And then game 2, just, like, not wastelanding, casting the opposition agent instead of brainstorming, having 2 force wills in the top 3 cards.
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah. When you looked afterwards, we were both like, oh.
So unfortunate.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, bad beats.
Yeah.
I've actually never played that matchup before anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen the deck online, and I know that it's like it's pretty cool, and like I'm looking out for like Forge Karn, Echo of Aeons.
Sure. Yeah.
Like. It seems okay. I wasn't really producing hands that interacted with it very well.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. It was just, I think, very tough because I feel on paper you look at the blue-black deck and you're like, I have the tools to do this.
Yeah.
But you need to draw them in the right
I don't
order.
have the tools in my hand.
Exactly. And that was so tough. And like, I can see where you're going with your mulligans and just seeing a little bit of what those hands looked like. It's like, yeah, I could produce a threat, but I can't do anything to interact. And for me, I'm sitting on the other side of the table thinking, oh yeah, my opponent's probably going to go off turn 3. They kind of went off turn 2 and turn 1.
Right.
You know, it's like, what am I going to do?
Yeah. It was brutal.
So Hercule's Recall on the sideboard from here on out is what I...
I am buying a null rod. Mark my words.
Yes. Please.
It's probably a good investment, right? It's a reserve.
It is a reserve card.
Yeah.
Or play green and collector, like I said.
Yep.
Just the cheaper option.
I mean, that way you can play Neither Reliquary and piece of cake.
Yeah.
Just don't lose games from there.
Exactly. Neither Reliquary, it's an auto win. That's what it says on the card, folks.
Yep.
Next tournament, audibling to Maverick.
There you go. I mean, we don't even need to play the next tournament then. We'll just put you down as the winner.
Honestly,
No
we'll
problem.
be playing for second at that point. You know. But either way. Anything else that you'd like to talk about with the deck and the matchup?
There was something. Like I don't actually know if I'm supposed to like super aggressively mulligan to griefing them. Like
interesting.
Like I could have thrown back the 6, game 1. I don't.
Well, we're even talking about like the surgical extractions and whether you bring those in because it's like if you get the perfect hand of grief, in general you could just potentially grief and then kind of keep going on from there. Then maybe like hit the Karn or hit the ring, but. I don't know. It's super tough because I like what you did because you did the classic tempo like I will kill you.
Yeah.
And I've presented the means to kill you and interact with you enough, and I hope that's enough.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you go to 5 there, or even if you keep like a mediocre 7.
Yeah.
And if you're just not presenting a threat, you're not winning that game.
Definitely. I think if I was on Shadow and had a full set of Thought Seizes, I would absolutely bring in Surgicals, but like.
Yeah, especially with the grief, you're like going down on cards, and I've seen the blue-black decks like they kind of have to mulligan a little bit more than the shadow decks just because they need those specific pieces.
Right.
So I don't know, it's tough. It's really tough.
Yeah, it's just like a lot of different like A plus B sort of like things that I need that I'm not really finding. So like I'm just sort of playing mid range like. Tempo, slow tempo.
Yeah. Well, you're still alive for top 8. You're 3-1. Hopefully, we'll see you more on the feature match area in the whole
one more round.
Let's get there. ID. Anyway, well, Ash, thanks for joining us again.
Thank you.
Really appreciate all the insight, and we'll be back for round 5 here shortly.